Be honest. How many opportunities have you missed? Not because you weren't ready, but because you were afraid.
And the real question is, how much is fear costing you right now?
Not just opportunities, but growth and connections and the life that you were meant to live.
Today, we're talking about fear. Not as just something that holds us back, but as something we can also learn from.
This is Breaking the Silence. Fear can show up in so many ways, but for me, one of the most memorable experiences is when I decided to start breaking the silence. Anybody who knows me knows that I am very introverted. I'm very soft-spoken, and I wouldn't just put myself out there. But having gone through depression and anxiety, I felt the need to start breaking the silence. And I said to myself, Cassie, how am I going to do something like this? Somebody who is always in the background, never at the forefront. Like, how am I going to do something like this? And trust me, it took a lot. It took a lot for me to actually do that first video. And not just do it, I was being vulnerable in that video. Of course, my heart was racing. Of course, I was worried about how others would see me. But you know what? I needed that fear so that I can really push through. I had to overcome that fear. I wasn't about to let that fear keep me back because I know I had a purpose, and I know there were persons out there that was relying on me, and if I had not taken that step, I would not have made that impact. And I would sit at night and feel guilty because knowing that I have a job to get done or I have a purpose to fulfill, and I'm letting fear keep me back.
Right. I feel sometimes the fear is what lets us know that this is important.
Right.
And if it wasn't, you probably would not feel the fear that you're feeling. But I can definitely relate to you. Even before breaking the silence, which is why we clicked, I've had urges to speak out, about mental health and whatnot. And even in breaking the silence, these midweek exhales, I always telling you, girl,
guys, she feared doing this.
Yes.
You see, like having a conversation that comes natural for her, but doing the midweek exhale on her own and just putting herself out there alone, that was hard for her.
I feel more comfortable having conversations,
right?
Because I feel like the other person can help me mask whatever I'm worried about. And it's usually just the fear of being seen, the fear of people nitpicking and focusing on you and judging you.
Right.
And, why did she do it like this? Why did she do not realizing
like that?
Doing it at all is a level of bravery that they don't even have. So you don't have to worry about it. But I think what is the most important thing for me, or what helps me, I think about what fear is meant for. And an example is, think of in the animal kingdom, if a deer is being chased by a cheetah, a lion, a predator, it goes into fear mode, adrenaline starts pumping, and the body starts to work, and it starts to run as quickly as possible to survive. Right?
Flight response.
Fight or flight. And usually they would run. It would be flight. And when it's done, let's say they get away, maybe they go into the water and the cheetah don't want to jump in the water. They got away from the predator. In the animal kingdom, they go back to their default mode and start grazing again and eating and doing what they do. But what I've realized, as human beings, we get into that flight fear mode, which, yes, at the time, depending on what you were going through, it did serve a purpose.
Yeah, because that's the body's natural response to protect you from danger.
From whatever you were going through.
Yes.
But then when the danger is gone, you stay in the flight, and that's the problem.
That is the issue.
And when I learned that, I cracked the code to fear. Now that doesn't mean it's easy and I'm not still afraid.
Right.
But I am now overcoming it with more and more ease, to where right now I feel like our first conversation where we were filming scared out of my mind. Now I feel comfortable. Am I still?
And you would not have been in this position or at this point if you had not taken that first step. Sometimes it just means taking that first step.
Yes.
But fear just keeps us from taking that first step.
Agreed. And I will say it again, exactly what I said in my midweek exhale, my first one that I did. Guys, go check it out.
I'm so proud of you.
My theme for 2026 is overcoming fear.
And I think you're doing a great job.
Yes. So I'm gonna do the video regardless of being afraid, and I'm happy that you're doing it with me.
Right, we're pushing through that fear.
We can support each other.
Of course, always.
Yes. So fear isn't one-dimensional. It shows up in many different ways.
And that is so true, Cassie. It does. And I will start with an example. Emotional or social fear. And I can definitely relate to this one because being a sufferer of anxiety, social anxiety to be exact, it takes a lot of courage or strength to put yourself out there, whether it be just going out to have, lunch. It doesn't have to be somebody alone. Public speaking, answering the telephone at work. Like, there's just so many little things that social anxiety will prevent you from doing, right? And it shows up in the form of fear. Like, do I have to rehearse my script before I make that call? Because how am I going to sound? Just by merely walking in public, you worried about, let's say, if there are a whole line of persons standing there and you walk in next to them, you're like, I wonder what's going through their mind, and my heart will be racing. And anybody out there who is suffering from social anxiety, I see you. I understand what you're going through, because this is not for the weak. It's like you're living your life in a constant state of fear. And the main thing is, what is this person going to say about me?
So that's judgment. The fear of judgment,
right?
Not fitting in,
right?
Or rejection.
And because you would do whatever it takes to avoid those social situations.
So there's also the fear of failure or performance anxiety. So basically, you're afraid of not meeting your expectations or other people's expectations, right? Maybe you're afraid of not doing well at work because performance at your job. And a lot of the time that stops us from starting anything. Because if you're afraid of failing, then you don't even start to begin with, right? So I think it's fear of also maybe losing your job because your performance doesn't meet expectations, or failing a test. That's a big one. When I was a child, that's something, maybe not in primary school, but maybe secondary school until after like the tertiary education, I used to be afraid of failing the test. I feel like that fear comes from feeling like you're not good enough, or feeling like this thing that I'm about to do is a deciding factor on whether I am successful or seen as successful or not, which we shouldn't be doing. One test doesn't represent who you are as a person,
or your strengths as a person,
how successful you are. And I feel like society has done that and made us bring who we are down to this test or this job, or our identity.
It's like society has a criteria for success, and it shouldn't be that way, because I feel like everybody should have their own definition of success. What looks like success to me may not look like success to you, and that is okay. But you have to respect my definition or my idea of success.
Yes.
Right? And it's because we're so focused on what society has told us is success, we have that fear of not meeting that criteria, basically.
Right.
So, for instance, like if you're not a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, an economist, then you're not successful. And that is not true. You have other persons out there that have brilliant skills, and I would consider them successful. And if you have to really look into it, sometimes those persons with the skills that society deems is not successful, they're better off. They're making more money. If you, in some cases, it's like that.
Yes.
So we really cannot just look at what society has told us, and that is what we're trying to break, guys, this year. Yes. We are not going based on what society deemed as successful. Everybody has to sit back, look within, and define what success is to you. Right. Not what society says success is. It's because of society's criteria, we have that fear within us that is keeping us from, doing what it is that we really want to do.
Yeah, but aside from a job, there's also the fear of disappointing other people. There are a lot of
like
people,
your parents especially,
who they're afraid to disappoint their friends or their parents or anybody close to them. And guys, I have news for you.
That look up to them.
I have news for you. You are a human being. You're not perfect. Somebody will always be disappointed, and you have to be okay with that. Now, I'm not saying...
And you'll also encounter failure in life. That's part of life.
Yes. I'm not saying purposefully make plans with somebody and disappoint them. But if things don't work out, then it didn't work out. Like, you have to let that go.
There's probably a reason why it did not work out.
Exactly.
And probably the next time that you start, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with experience.
Yes.
So, and you'll do better. The result the next time around will be better because you have that prior experience.
Don't make it a habit. Don't do it on purpose. Keep striving to improve.
Right. So you give it your all, but if your all does not end up being the results that you want, then that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you did give it your all.
Yeah. I think fear in these situations, it's just supposed to... You see how I was saying the deer or the gazelle got away from the lion? In these situations, that fear is just supposed to help us be a bit more motivated. So at work, the fear of failure, the fear of losing your job, or whatever fear, it's supposed to just help you be a little more motivated and more prepared to execute whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. But aside from that, that's where it stops. It should not be this continuous thing that plagues you to where you cannot even do a presentation. You understand? So it's just supposed to be motivation to do your best and to prepare. Once you've done that, you are enough. You've done enough. Okay? That's all it's supposed to be. Go back to your default, calm down, and know that whatever you're about to say, you did your best.
All right.
Whatever the outcome, you will be okay.
Another type of fear that we often experience but we don't really talk about is trauma-based fear or conditioned fear. And I can give an example. For me, let's say in the case of a previous heartbreak, right? Once that relationship is done, I now have that fear of giving another person a chance, because it's like, what if the experience I had with that prior person, what if it shows up in that, potential or current relationship? So that fear sometimes keeps me from even putting myself out there to date, to get to know other people. It's like, I am protecting my heart. I am taking myself off of the market because I do not want to experience this again. Okay. Right? But it shouldn't be that way. Right? I should not let that past experience define what my future relationship will be like.
Right.
But what's in between is the fear.
Right.
The fear of not wanting to experience it again.
Yeah. So it sounds like it was created from past trauma.
Definitely.
So that type of fear is you experience something that was traumatic in your past, and it's almost now you bracing for it constantly.
Exactly.
But I feel like while at the time the trauma was happening, it's okay because that was your way of protecting yourself.
Right.
But I feel like you have to process it and come out of it. Because
you have to heal from whatever trauma that you encountered, and then you shouldn't let that experience, having healed from it, you shouldn't let that experience prevent you from being in another relationship.
Yeah, because you would bring that baggage to the other relationship, and it wouldn't be fair to that other person. Right. And then it probably won't go well. Then you go to the next one, you bring more baggage, and that won't go well either. And you're in a cycle of nothing is working out for me.
Right. And
you don't know why.
Right.
And a lot of us sometimes look at the other person as that they were the problem, and we don't realize that we're the ones bringing the past trauma. We have it on our back carrying. We have the luggage with every new person that is contributing to things not working out.
And right now we're focusing on intimacy, but this can go so much wider than that. It can be whatever trauma that you've experienced, whether it is a very tragic accident or somebody said something really bad to you, PTSD, bullying,
in the army, and
all of these different things. So we can keep going on and on and on. Like these things, they really prevent us from taking that step forward in order for us to do what really makes us happy.
Yeah, but I think the key is being able to process it and heal.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, the trauma happens and they never
take the time out to heal.
And maybe because they don't know how, which is okay, but we need to seek help. Again, we're in this culture where we don't want to seek help.
We don't.
Because we don't want to look weak. We don't want to look like we don't have it together. So there's also, in this segment, fear of authority. So, in the workplace, sometimes a manager will come up to you and tell you, I want you to get this, that done. You say yes, you do it. I say a lot that people need to think for themselves. The reason why I say this is because think about mathematics. You may have a problem, and a way to solve it, and they'll give you a different problem. And what you may need to do is to change the formula to suit that different problem. There are some people that apply the same solution to every different type of problem, just out of, not because they don't realize. Now there are some people for sure they don't realize they need to edit and shift and change and adapt. But there are some people who are aware, but out of fear of the manager being upset with them, they say, I do it how the people tell me to do it, even though it's looking wrong. That's what they want, that's what I do it.
And sometimes it has to do with the manager's leadership style too. If you come off as very authoritative, that creates a natural fear in your employees. You're not approachable. So if you give an instruction, they will just do what you say to do.
But guys, that's not
saying that is the right thing, but that happens a lot.
Yes. We all bring value to the company. I was hired not to be a robot, just to do what somebody tells me to do. I was hired because I am smart, because I am a problem solver, because if my manager tells me, hey, I want you to do this thing, I can come back and say, don't you think if we do it this way, it would be better? And the manager will be like, oh, great, that's awesome. Yes, do it that way. That's my contribution. My contribution is helping my manager and my team come up with better solutions from what they're used to doing. That is why that's why I was hired. So if I don't do that and I just do what the person tells me to do, I'm not fulfilling my purpose.
It's true.
So think about your purpose.
But I also feel like we need to address the managers too, because you have to create an environment for your employees where they feel comfortable coming to you.
Right.
If you have that kind of leadership style where your employees fear you, the employees will really not give off their best, as you were saying.
Right.
So if there is another way or better way to do whatever task, they won't speak up.
But that comes from school, Rochelle. Making you, oh, you have to be afraid of the teacher. That comes from the home. What I'm talking about.
Exactly,
I'll beat
it
you.
came from the home.
I will beat you. It came from the home. Making children feel you need to be afraid of your parents, and that is not healthy, and that's not the way. It's a culture thing, and it's a cycle. Millennials,
the fear really starts from the
millennials,
home.
We're breaking that.
We're breaking that silence, and we're breaking that tradition.
The way it's been happening, it's not working. You know, and I've spoken about this topic before, and a lot of people brought slavery into it as well, that they can bring it all the way back there in terms of the hitting, because you know they used to lash the slaves, and how when we think punishment, that's what they think punishment is. Punishment is take away the tablet. You're not gonna get this tablet until you do your homework. Explain things to the children. You understand? If, Rochelle, you sitting there and I tell you you're in pain, you hit your toe and it's hurting, right? You crying and I tell you, oh, I'll give you something to cry about. That's wickedness. You crying because you're in pain.
Exactly.
Why do we do children that? It's crazy to me. It's a generational thing, and it's within the culture, and I feel like it needs to stop.
Yeah. And I feel like even with having strict parents, it creates a fear of perfection within you. If your parents always want you to do things a certain way, and if it's not done that way, they come down hard on you, it creates that fear of perfection, because I need to do it this way. If I don't do it this way, I am not good enough.
But why this way is the perfect way? What if that way is good too? Like, guys.
But as a child, you don't have that voice. So you just go based on what your parents tell you.
Yeah, but
and sometimes you grow into adulthood with that mindset that you have to be perfect. I have to be perfect at my job. I have to be perfect in society's eyes. I have to get a good paying job. And that perfection, it carries through life.
But nobody is perfect. The person themselves wanting you to be perfect, they're not perfect. How they wanting you to be perfect?
It's true. It's very true, Cassie, but that's just the reality of what it is.
Well, we
just need to change our
change that. We're not gonna keep that a reality.
So as parents, we need to do better for our children, in the sense that we should not make them feel like they have to be perfect for them to be seen, for them to be heard.
Yes. And let there be some sort of understanding. We are human beings. We're able to speak, right? If Rochelle is sitting there and I just start beating her and she doesn't know why, there's nothing for her to learn. She will keep whatever I'm beating her for that I feel she's doing wrong, she will keep doing it because she doesn't even know what she's done and what I'm beating her for.
Right.
Explain. If a child is doing something that they shouldn't, right? A lot of the time it's because they don't know why they shouldn't be doing that. Sometimes it's just them pushing the limit. Yes. And there are other ways to deal with that as well. But there are also times when the child doesn't know why you're upset. Speak and explain to the child, this is not good what you're doing. The reason is X, Y, and Z. Let them understand what is happening. Do unto others as you like them to do unto you. If it were you, you would want it to be explained to you so that you understand exactly how things are affected when you do things.
Right.
And you all might think that this doesn't make sense or that wouldn't work. But I'm telling you, what's currently happening, just beating a child, it's not working either. All you're doing is making the child aggressive, going and fighting the school, go and beat people, deal with depression, anxiety, like Rochelle was explaining. You're just making it worse. Why try something different?
Yeah.
Learn other ways of how to parent and how to discipline. There are other ways. We don't have to repeat the cycle. And again, nothing that I'm saying I'm not saying it's that this is the right way. Yeah? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is have enough love in your heart to create a happy space for yourself and your family, that you would go the extra mile to research and figure out what can work for y'all. A less aggressive, a less loud, a less disrespectful way of handling situations.
Right.
Because we're doing it that way with the children, thinking that that's the way, not realizing all you're doing is teaching them that is how you need to communicate with other people. Creating all of these patterns.
Yes, when they become
adults and parents,
yes,
we're creating. We don't realize a lot of issues we have, Rochelle. We created them based on how we communicate with each other. You're roughing up somebody, but you don't want people to rough you up. Soft life. How you want soft life, but you're not being soft with people. Explain that to me.
Yes,
it doesn't make sense. You're gonna get the soft life back when that's what you're giving out.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So there is also future-oriented fear. The fear of what might happen in the future.
A lot of people suffer from that.
Yes, fear of financial instability.
Oh, that's a big one. That's a very big one. Because everybody is worried about, how am I going to afford this? Will I be able to afford this? Where am I going to be 2 or 3 years down the line? What do I have to do now for me to be financially successful in the next 5 years?
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
And there's fear of illness.
Yes.
There's fear of making the wrong choice as well.
And that creates anxiety. You see how all of these things are tied together. Fear, anxiety, depression, a lot of the mental disorders, they are tied together. One leads to the other. And I feel like in that case, that type of fear leads to anxiety, because you're just so anxious about the future. What ifs?
Oh my gosh. That's a thing I talk about a lot with the people around me. Because what would happen is that they would say, so right now, very anxious. They would be very anxious, very hurried, very. And I would come and ask, are you okay? What's going on? No. Well, I have to do this thing. And if I do it, this might happen, and this might happen, and this. I say, how you know that might happen? Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying. I said, so you're right now.
And most times we have like a negative outcome. We were never thinking of a positive thing happening. It's always a negative thing.
I think so you're stressed out right now because of something that might never happen.
Exactly.
That is wild to me.
You're just creating that unnecessary pressure on your nervous system.
It doesn't even exist yet. Calm down.
We all do it.
I'm just saying, if it happened, and you're like, oh shit, it happened. But like, it don't happen yet, and you don't even know if it will.
Right, and we're freaking
out. Calm down. But you're right, we all do it. And I don't think it's bad to do it, because all of these fear,
but it has to be done at like in a controlled way, Cassie. You cannot be waking up every morning and just being like, you're not calm.
But fear, remember we were saying fear has its purpose. What we're doing is we're misusing what the purpose is.
It's true. Like in a case like that, Cassie, you cannot just be waking up every morning and fearing what the future will look like. So you have to live in the moment.
For example, this type of fear is supposed to motivate us to prepare for the future. Meaning, when you get your paycheck, go blast it on snacks.
Right, I get
you have your little saving, but that's where it stops.
I get that.
We don't realize the fear exists just to get us to prepare, but not to go out of control and to the extreme where you're constantly anticipating that something bad is going to happen. That's the problem. The fear is not a bad thing, it's our misuse
of the fear.
It's just meant to make us prepare. Once you're prepared, let it go.
Prepare and to protect us, like in the moment. So for instance, I am afraid of dogs. So obviously if a dog is chasing after me in that moment, I will be afraid.
Of course.
But once that, as you were saying, giving the example about
once the moment passes.
Once the moment passes, I should return to my normal state.
Regulate your nervous system.
We need to regulate our nervous system.
You like to say that.
Because when we don't regulate our nervous system, guys, it triggers into so many other things, other physical illnesses. We always, our bodies are always tense. Our heart is always racing. We have headaches. We're nauseous, and all of these kind of things because we're not regulating our nervous system. So yes, that's why I like to say it, because we have to regulate. And I've been living my life not regulating my nervous system. So that's why right now we have to break it.
Yeah, but guys, remember, what's the theme of 2026?
Overcoming fear.
That's right. So,
and if you want to overcome fear, feel free to book a session with us, and we're going to guide you and provide you the resources on how to overcome fear.
That's right.
Another type of fear, Cassie, is transformational fear. And I think we touched a little bit about that or on that at the beginning of the episode, where we spoke about getting out of our comfort zone for us to be doing this, right? And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to take the risk of doing things like that and just generally getting out of their comfort zone, right? And I was like that at one point in time. I was someone who did not like change. So whenever it involved change, it's like I am getting out of my comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I feel like there are lots of people out there that experience the same. Like they don't want to do anything that will make them feel a bit uncomfortable.
You know what mine was?
What was yours, guys?
And I think it's the same for a lot of people. Leaving a stable job. Stable. And I say stable because it's perceived as stable.
Because you have an income or salary coming.
Yeah, but anything that's out of your control is not stable. But there's I don't know where that came from, but there's a perceived stability to jobs, rather than if you're an entrepreneur. But leaving a stable job to follow your dreams, that is a tough one.
It is.
That's a tough one because especially...
And a lot of people struggle with that one.
As an adult, you think about, I have all of these things to pay.
All of those responsibilities, the bills, the kids. How can I do this?
Yes.
But as we've been saying, you have to plan.
Yes.
So we're not telling you to get up and just leave your job because the bills got to be paid.
Yeah.
But
there are steps you can take towards it.
Definitely.
And
but a lot of us stop at...
Not just that, we use that fear as an excuse to not try. Not make the little steps. And a lot of us die.
You can be doing both at the same time.
A lot of us die never trying to pursue our dreams.
Right.
And a lot of people, older people that I've spoken to with regrets, that's one of their regrets, that they now
never
at the end of their life,
what they were really passionate about.
They're now at the end of their life and they've experienced so many things and they're now realizing what was really important. And part of that was...
So there's lots of regret.
Yes, part of that was that a lot of us, work takes up majority of our day. Doing something for 8 hours or more a day that's not your dream, it's a soul crusher and a soul, like,
it takes away from your happiness. And that brings us back to survival mode.
And a lot of people, they get to that part, the end of their life, and they're like,
what was the purpose?
I could have tried, I could have done it, I could have, like, they think back, and in the moment they couldn't see that they could have done it, because in the moment when they could have done it, you know what they worried about? Future what ifs that never happened. Future what ifs that never happened. Sitting down worried about, that never happened.
Now, we're not saying not to consider the possibilities,
of course,
but don't let that stop you from trying.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's a balance. And most of us, so let's say there are two extremes. The extreme would be just getting up and quitting your job with no plan. The only people that can do that are people who have safety nets. They have a spouse who has a good job and their income
generational wealth
can hold things. There are some people, as you say, generational wealth. Maybe there's money in the family, or there's a family business or something like that
they can fall back on.
Or they have savings. There are some people,
they have some kind of
they've
backup
been
plan.
saving consistently, and they have a huge savings that they can live off for a year or two until their thing starts making, their dream starts making money. And then the other extreme is never trying at all and staying miserable.
Right. It can be just a small step.
We're just saying in the middle, a balance.
Yes, one small step you have to take, just one. And then you'll just see everything start flowing because of that one small step that you took.
Some people, they don't know what that one small step is. They don't know. Now, that's what we do at Breaking the Silence. We help people identify how to start. We give examples or resources or tools
or recommendations.
Exactly.
So how to start, because a lot of us, we just don't know how to start.
Yes, it's from experience, and it's also from ourselves starting. It's also from, seeing how others did it. And guys, YouTube is a powerful tool. YouTube is not just something to doom scroll, you can learn a lot.
That's why people make reference and they say the YouTube University.
Yes.
Because there's a lot to learn on there.
Yes. There are so many other people going through the same thing that you're going through, and they're showing their journey. So, what if fear is not trying to stop us, but it's actually trying to teach us, to guide us? Maybe we should be asking ourselves, when we feel fear, why? What is this feeling trying to teach me? What I get from that is, we were speaking earlier about the purpose of the various types of fear. And some of it was to prepare us for the future, to protect us, right? And sometimes we're put in uncomfortable situations for growth and transformation, right? So now that we know that the fear has a purpose, instead of just letting it stop us, we should ask ourselves every single time, why am I afraid? What is this trying to teach me? What can I learn from this? How can I transform my life? Maybe if we're thinking that way, we can use fear to our benefit. We can use fear to transform. We can use fear to, for opportunities of growth, opportunities to follow our dreams. Sometimes when we feel afraid, but we know what we're doing is right, that's an opportunity to be brave, to help somebody else, to change the world.
So guys, I just want you to remember this. Fear does not have to define who you are. What fear does is that it reminds us that we're stepping into something that really matters. And trust me, once you take that first step, you discover a type of courage that you never knew you had within you. And the most important thing to remember is that you do not have to do it perfectly. You just need to take that first step, just that very first step. So guys, if this conversation resonated with you, I want you to pause and reflect on this question. What fear have I been avoiding?
And also ask yourself, what could your life look like if you stop letting fear hold you back? I want to tell you something. I want you to practice this, okay? Every single time a negative thought comes into your mind and you think, oh no, what if this is going to go badly? I challenge you to follow it up with, but what if it goes great?
Yes, reframe that fear or that negative thoughts.
Yes. You're not alone in this. You don't have to face anything alone. I think feeling alone is something that plagues a lot of us and stops us from getting the help that we need. Let's do this together.
This has been Breaking the Silence. Until next time, bye.